You're watching MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23, a free educational service provided by Circle City Broadcasting of Indianapolis. Here's what's coming up this hour. Get more information, special announcements, and weekly program schedules online at wishtv.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook. Here's what's coming up next.
Good morning, this is Stephanie Woods, reading interventionist, and we'll go ahead and get started with our phonics lesson for the day. So first thing we're going to do is take a look at 3 words. 2 of those words are going to have the same beginning blend. So I want you to think of what those 2 words are that have the same beginning blend. So if I say skip, ski, trap, which 2 have the same beginning blend? Skip and ski, because I hear that SK blend. If I say pledge, plane, flight, which 2 have that same beginning blend? Pledge, plane, because I hear the pull, PL blend. If I say bring, braid, crumb, which 2 have the same beginning blend? Bring, braid, because I hear that BR blend. Next one, if I say dream, drink, greet, which 2 have the same beginning blend? Dream, drink, I hear that DR blend. Last one, if I say snug, snow, floor, which 2 have the same beginning blend? Snug and snow. I hear SN blend. Very good. Now we're going to move on to blending. I'm going to give you the sounds and then you tell me what word I've created. So if I say what's my word? Sneak. Very good. If I say what's my word? Glad. If I say what's my word? Prop. See if you can start doing it faster than me. If I say st or e, what's my word? Story. Next one. What's my word? Plump. Good. Let's do 3 more. Next word. Swipe. What's my word? Swipe. Next one. What's my word? Flood. Last one. What's my word? Grip. Very good. All right, now we're going to take a focus on the SH digraph. I'm going to give you a word and I want you to think, where do you hear that SH digraph? Okay, so if I say the word shape, where do I hear the SH sound? I hear SH at the very beginning, shape. Okay, if I say push, where do you hear the sh in push? We hear it all the way at the very end. Push. All the way there. Next one. I want you to say the word fashion. Now, where do I hear sh in fashion? tricky one. I hear right in the middle. Fashion, right in the middle. Next one, say shoes. Where do I hear the sh in shoes? Pretty easy. Hear it all the way at the beginning. Last one, say flash. Where do I hear sh in flash? I hear it all the way at the end. Very good. Next activity we're going to do is segmenting. I say the word, you say the word, and then we break it down into the sounds that we hear. So say the word staple. Let's break it down. S-t-a-p-le. Very good. Say the word friend. Break it down. F-r-e-n-d. Good. Next one. Say sweet. Break it down. S-w-e-t. Good. Next word. Say truth. Break it down. T-r-u-th. Next word. Say blade. Break it down. B-l-a-d. Good. See if you can start doing it faster than me on these last three. Say the word clack. Break it down. K-o-a-k. Good. Last two. Say skate. Break it down. S-k-a-t. Good. Last one. Say crop. Break it down. K-r-a-p. Good. All right, now what we're going to do is adding a phoneme or a sound onto the beginning of our word. All these words are going to have blends in them. So say the word team, add s at the beginning, and the word is steam. Say Kate, add s at the beginning, and the word is skate. Say take, add s at the beginning, and the word is steak. See if you can do it faster than me. Say leap, add s at the beginning, and the word is sleep. Last one, say no, add s at the beginning, and the word is snow. Good. Now we're going to go opposite and delete that first sound away, okay? So say the word slime, take away this, and you're left with lime. Say space, take away this, and you're left with pace. Say spoke, take away this, and you're left with poke. See if you can do this faster than me. Say store, take away this, and you're left with tour. Last one, say swipe, take away this, and you're left with wipe. Awesome. Last activity we do is substituting out the sound. This time we're going to substitute the last sound. So we're going to keep everything the same except the last sound. A little bit trickier. So say the word seat, take away the t, put up n, the word is seen. Good. Now say scene, take away n, put up k, the word is seek. Say seek, take away k, put up d, the word is seed. Last one, say seed, take away d, put up o, the word is seal. A little bit trickier to do it at the end. That's all I have for you today. Have a wonderful day. See you later.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
I'm Miss Howenstein, and today we are going to be reading the book, All Are Welcome. So think, what does it mean when you hear the words, all are welcome? Well, we're going to find out. So I want you to think what it means to you as we read along. This is by Alexandra Penfold and Suzanne Kaufman. Take a look at these pictures on the inside and see the city streets, see the different people that are in here. Think what it means, all are welcome. All right. Pencils sharpened in their case. Bells are ringing, let's make haste. School's beginning, dreams to chase. All are welcome here. So this is a school like maybe you've been in. And right now I know we're not in school, but here's a school, a classroom. And there's so many different people. No matter how you start your day, what you wear when you play, or if you come from far away, all are welcome here. Look at these kids. They all come from different places around the world, different countries. That is so awesome. All are welcome here. In this classroom, all are welcome. In our classroom, safe and sound, fears are lost and hope is found. Raise your hand, we'll go around. All are welcome here. Gather now, let's all take part. We'll play music, we'll make art. We'll share stories from the heart. There's the teacher, might look familiar to you, and students like you sitting on the carpet. All are welcome here. Time for lunch, what a spread, a dozen different kinds of bread. Pass it around till everyone's fed. All are welcome here. See, when we see all the different kinds of bread, we know that there's so many different countries and places and different types of people represented. Open doors, rush outside. We will sing, we will slide. We'll have fun side by side. All are welcome here. We are part of a community. Our strength is our diversity, a shelter from adversity. All are welcome here. We will learn from each other, special talents we'll uncover. There's a big world to discover. All are welcome here. So much to learn, so much to do. And when the busy day is through, can't wait to come back, start anew. All are welcome here. Head for home to get some rest and greet tomorrow ready and fresh. Our time together is the best. All are welcome here. You have a place here. You are welcome here. There's so many different people, so many things, so many activities, sports, festivals, cultures. Okay, friends, so after we read All Are Welcome, I want you to think what it means, all are welcome. From the story, what you read, or what you think when you see this story. Maybe you see yourself in this story. And although we are not in class, in a classroom right now, in a building at your school, you may be online on Zoom, or you may be watching your teacher on some recorded lessons, or even on TV you might be watching your teacher. And so you can think that you are welcome here, and that no matter where you come from, what language you speak, what food you eat, the color of your skin, you are welcome here. So I want you to take a second and think and maybe draw a picture of what you read, of what you listened to, and what it means to you. Thank you so much for following along, and I can't wait to see you soon.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hi, my name is Eddie White with the Indiana Pacers. I host the Pacers Overtime Show. After every home and away Pacers game on radio, you get to talk to me. You get to call in and talk to me, and we talk about the Pacers. And we couldn't do what we do unless we knew how to read. And reading is fun, and it's important. And today, one of my favorite books, we're going to read Stuck by Oliver Jeffers. He has red hair. He looks like me. Let's start the game. It all began when Floyd's kite became stuck in a tree. He tried pulling and swinging, but it wouldn't come unstuck. The trouble really began when he threw his favorite shoe to knock the kite loose, and that got stuck too. So he threw up his other shoe to knock down his favorite one, and unbelievably, that got stuck as well. In order to knock down his other shoe, Floyd fetched Mitch. Cats get stuck in trees all the time, but this was getting ridiculous. Floyd fetched a ladder. He was going to sort this out once and for all. And up he threw it. I'm sure you can guess what happened. The ladder was borrowed from a neighbor and would definitely need to put back before anyone noticed. And in order to do so, Floyd flung a bucket of paint at it. And wouldn't you know it, the bucket of paint got stuck. Then Floyd tried a duck to knock down the bucket of paint, a chair to knock down the duck, his friend's bicycle to knock down the chair, the kitchen sink to knock down his friend's bicycle, Floyd's front door to knock down the kitchen sink, the family car to knock down their front door, the milkman to knock down the family car, an orangutan to knock down the milkman, who surely had somewhere else to be, a small boat to knock down the orangutan, a big boat to knock down the small boat, a rhinoceros to knock down the big boat, a long-distance truck to knock down the rhinoceros, the house across the street to knock down the long-distance truck, a lighthouse to knock down the house no longer across the street, a curious whale in the wrong place at the wrong time to knock down the lighthouse. And they all got stuck. A fire engine was passing and heard all the commotion. The firemen stopped to see if they could help at all. And up they went. First, the engine, followed by the firemen, one by one. And there they stayed, stuck between the orangutan and one of the boats. Firemen would definitely be noticed missing, and Floyd knew he'd be in big trouble. Then he had an idea and went to find a saw. He lined it up the best he could and hurled it up the tree. And that was it. There was no more room left in the tree, and the kite came unstuck. Floyd was delighted. He had forgotten all about his kite and put it to use immediately, enjoying the rest of his day very much. That night, Floyd fell asleep, exhausted. Though before he did, he could have sworn there was something he was forgetting. Hang on a minute, lads. I got a great idea. That's our book. Stuck by Oliver Jeffers. We're all stuck now at home. We're learning from home. We're getting together with our families. And hopefully, while we're all stuck at home, we're getting something out of it. We're reading books. We're staying safe. We're practicing all the procedures recommended by the governor and the mayor and our parents and our teachers and our coaches and everybody else out there. And we'll get through this. And real soon, I'll see you at a Pacers game. And when you do, come up to me and say, "Hey, Eddie, have you ever been stuck?" And I'll know what you're talking about. Have a great day.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
All right, guys, welcome and thank you for joining me, all of my IPS families and anybody who's available to watch this with me right now. I'm so glad you're there, and we're going to really enjoy this book together. This is called The Bad Seed, and it is written by Jory John, and the illustrations are by Pete Oswald. So, as you can tell, this is going to be a pretty interesting story about a seed that is apparently bad. So, let's get into it and see what happens. I'm a bad seed. A bad seed. Oh yeah, it's true. The other seeds, they look at me and they say, "That seed is so bad." When they think I'm not listening, they mumble, "There goes a bad seed." All right. And if you guys remember our facial expressions lesson, you can see a lot of different emotions going on right here. And check out his eyebrows. All right. But I can hear them. I have good hearing for a seed. How bad am I? You really want to know? Well, I never put things back where they belong. I'm late to everything. I tell long jokes with no punchlines. I never wash my hands or my feet. I lie about pointless stuff. I cut in line every time. Those are pretty bad things, huh? I stare at everybody, I glare at everybody, I finish everybody's sentences, and I never listen. Look at that. It says, "Library, quiet please," and he's banging a drum. It's probably not very quiet. And I do lots of other bad things too. Know why? Because I'm a bad seed. A bad seed. I just can't help it. Sure, I wasn't always this bad. I was born a humble seed and on a simple sunflower in an unremarkable field. I had a big family, seeds everywhere. We found ways of having fun. We were close. And so I want you guys, if you can see, look at their facial expressions. And if you can find him in there, look at his eyebrows, because they don't quite look so angry while he's on his sunflower with his family. But then the petals dropped and our flower drooped. Look, there's a couple of expressions, probably a lot of fear. It's kind of a blur. I remember a bag. Anybody have sunflower seeds before? Everything went dark. And then a giant. Yep. He's throwing that seed into his mouth to enjoy it during a softball game. But what he doesn't realize is that's our story character. I thought I was a goner. I thought I was done for. I screamed and I hollered, ah! Patoo! But I was spit out at the last possible second. I flew through the air and I landed under the bleachers with a huge thud. When I woke up, it was dark outside. A wad of gum had softened my fall. I felt okay, but something had changed in me. I'd become a different seed entirely. I'd become a bad seed. Interesting. A bad seed. That's right, I stopped smiling, I kept to myself, I drifted. I was friend to nobody and bad to everybody. I was lost on purpose. I lived inside a soda can. I didn't care, and it suited me. I wonder if it really suited him. Do you think that's really what he wants? Until recently, I've made a big decision. I've decided I don't want to be a bad seed anymore. I'm ready to be happy. It's hard to be good when you're so used to being bad, but I'm trying. I'm taking it one day at a time. Sure, I still forget to listen, and I still show up late, and I still talk during movies, and I do all kinds of other bad stuff. But I also say thank you, and I say please, and I smile, and I hold doors open for people. Not always, but sometimes. And even though I still feel bad sometimes, I feel kind of good also. It's sort of a mix. All I can do is keep trying and keep thinking, maybe I'm not such a bad seed after all. Hey, look, there goes that bad seed. Actually, he's not all that bad anymore. I heard that. The end. All right, guys, so I bet you caught on, but what I really love about this book is that this bad seed didn't start as a bad seed. And I want us to remember that because everybody started out as a good seed, right? We were all on our sunflower, happy when we were babies, and then sometimes things happen, and things happen to different people, and sometimes it hurts us. And when we're hurt, sometimes the only thing we know to do is to accidentally hurt other people. And sometimes we might not mean to, but it just happens because our body just sometimes makes some decisions for us. So remember that you are not your choices, and sometimes we all make bad choices, but that doesn't stop us from making more choices in the future that'll help us and help others rather than hurt us. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this book. I love it. Feel free to check out your local library. They can help you find books that are just like this one and read them together, because that is the best way to learn, is to just have something you enjoy together. All right, you have a good day, and reach out to us if you need anything. We miss you. Stay safe.
What's going on?
I don't know.
Okay, try it now.
Yeah, that's IPS.
I think I need to call in sick.
Why? What's wrong?
My throat is sore, dizzy, runny nose.
It sounds like nasopharyngitis.
More than a dozen surprisingly specialized education models to choose from. Explore them all online. Yeah, that's IPS.
This is MyIPS. on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
This is Stephanie Woods, reading interventionist, and we'll go ahead and get started with our phonics lesson for the day. So first thing we're going to do is take a look at 3 words. 2 of those words are going to have the same beginning blend. So I want you to think of what those 2 words are that have the same beginning blend. So if I say skip, ski, trap, which 2 have the same beginning blend? Skip and ski, because I hear that sk, SK blend. If I say pledge, plane, flight, which 2 have that same beginning blend? Pledge, plane, because I hear the pull, PL blend. If I say bring, berate, crumb, which 2 have the same beginning blend? Bring, berate, because I hear that BR blend. Next one, if I say dream, drink, greet, which 2 have the same beginning blend? Dream, drink. I hear that DR blend. Last one, if I say snug, snow, floor, which 2 have the same beginning blend? Snug and snow. I hear SN blend. Very good. Now we're going to move on to blending. I'm going to give you the sounds and then you tell me what word I've created. So if I say S-N-E-K, what's my word? Sneak. Very good. If I say G-O-A-D, what's my word? Glad. If I say P-R-O-P, what's my word? Prop. See if you can start doing it faster than me. If I say S-T-O-R-E, what's my word? Story. Next one. P-O-M-P. What's my word? Plump. Good. Let's do 3 more. Next word. S-W-I-P. What's my word? Swipe. Next one. F-O-A-D. What's my word? Flood. Last one. G-R-I-P. What's my word? Grip. Very good. All right, now we're going to take a focus on the SH digraph. I'm going to give you a word and I want you to think, where do you hear that SH digraph? Okay, so if I say the word shape, where do I hear the sh sound? I hear sh at the very beginning, shape. Okay, if I say push, where do you hear the sh in push? We hear it all the way at the very end. Push. All the way there. Next one. I want you to say the word fashion. Now, where do I hear sh in fashion? Tricky one. I hear right in the middle. Fashion. Right in the middle. Next one. Say shoes. Where do I hear the sh in shoes? Pretty easy. Hear it all the way at the beginning. Last one, say flash. Where do I hear sh in flash? I hear it all the way at the end. Very good. Next activity we're going to do is segmenting. I say the word, you say the word, and then we break it down into the sounds that we hear. So say the word staple, Let's break it down. S, t, a, p, ol. Very good. Say the word friend. Break it down. F, e, n, d. Good. Next one. Say sweet. Break it down. S, w, e, t. Good. Next word. Say truth. Break it down. T, u, th. Next word. Say blade. Break it down. B, o, a, d. Good. See if you can start doing it faster than me on these last three. Say the word clack. Break it down. K, o, a, k. Good. Last two. Say skate. Break it down. S, k, a, t. Good. Last one. Say crop. Break it down. K, a, p. Good. All right, now what we're going to do is adding a phoneme or a sound onto the beginning of our word. All these words are going to have blends in them. So say the word team, add s at the beginning, and the word is steam. Say Kate, add s at the beginning, and the word is skate. Say take, add s at the beginning, and the word is steak. See if you can do it faster than me. Say leap, add s at the beginning, and the word is sleep. Last one, say no, add s at the beginning, and the word is snow. Good. Now we're going to go opposite and delete that first sound away, okay? So say the word slime, take away the s, and you're left with lime. Say space, take away this, and you're left with pace. Say spoke, take away this, and you're left with poke. See if you can do this faster than me. Say store, take away this, and you're left with tour. Last one, say swipe, take away this, and you're left with wipe. Awesome. Last activity we do is substituting out the sound. This time we're going to substitute the last sound. So we're going to keep everything the same except the last sound. A little bit trickier. So say the word seat, take away the t, put up n, the word is seen. Good. Now say seen, take away n, put up k, the word is seek. Say seek, take away k, put up d, the word is seed. Last one, say seed, take away d, put up ol, the word is seal. A little bit trickier to do it at the end. That's all I have for you today. Have a wonderful day. See you later.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hi boys and girls, thanks for tuning in and watching, for making some brain workout with me. My name is Tiffany Reyes. I'm going to be helping you with first grade reading. Get your iReady packet, packet number 2, okay? Today we're gonna be on page 82. That's the lesson number 3. Ready? Let's get started. Have you ever done one of these? They are so fun. They're kind of mysterious. You need to connect the dots correctly in order so that you can know what is gonna be the picture, right? Just like these dots connect, the events and idea in a story connect. There are two main ways in which events and ideas connect to each other. The events can follow in time order. For example, in spring, some leaves grow in the plant, and in summer, the flower blooms. That follows a time order. One thing happens first, and then the other one happens along. The other way is events or idea. One event or idea causes another. For example, it starts to rain a lot, very, very heavy rain, and then it gets flooded. In this case, the rain caused the flood. So, now we know that like these dots, event and idea can connect in different ways. Remember, in time order, or one causes the other, okay? We're gonna read a story called How Coney Island Came Back. And it's a very interesting story. Now you may find out two words that you might not know the meaning, so we're gonna review it super quick. You might see the word tar, which is a thick, heavy substance that when it's hot, it can be shaped, and when it's cold, it gets like very rigid and hard, and it's used usually to cover roads. And the word collapsed, which basically means when something suddenly falls down, okay? You might see those words, but you already know the meaning. So let's read. How Coney Island Came Back by Mike Gordon. Welcome to Coney Island. Coney Island is part of New York City. It was a very popular place more than 100 years ago. Back then, people loved to visit Coney Island's amusement parks. They really loved one called Luna Park. Here we see a map of Coney Island in New York City, and we see the Luna Park, and we see one called Dreamland. Let's find out what is it. A man named William H. Reynolds made plans for a new park. He would build it near Luna Park. Reynolds wanted his park to be better than Luna Park. He called his park Dreamland. This is a picture of Luna Park over 100 years ago. It looks fun. Building Dreamland. William Reynolds copied Luna Park's rides, but he made his rides bigger and better. Luna Park had a boat ride. Reynolds made a bigger boat ride at Dreamland. Two boats race down a steep ramp into the ocean. That looks like a lot of fun. Have you been in one of those? I have. That's super fun. Shoot the Chutes boat ride at the Dreamland. That's the name of the roller coaster. Reynolds copied the buildings in Luna Park too. Luna Park had a tall tower in the park's center. Dreamland had a taller tower. People could see the tower lights from miles away. Dreamland opened. It cost 15 cents to enter. People loved it. Huge crowds visited all summer. It was as popular as Luna Park. Here we see a picture of the Dreamland Tower. That's huge. The Roaring Fire. Dreamland was a fun place. It was popular for 7 years. Then something terrible happened. Workers were using hot tar to fix a ride. A fire started. People think something hot tar spilled and started the fire. And here we see a picture of the fire disaster in the dreamland. Most of dreamland was made of wood. It burned fast. Hundreds of firefighters came, but they could not save dreamland. All the rides burned down. The tall tower collapsed. No one was killed, but dreamland was destroyed. Luna Park stayed in business for more years, for many, many years. Then a big fire destroyed it too. Here's a picture of firefighters putting out the dreamland fire. That's sad. Coney Island today. There were other amusement parks at Coney Island after Dreamland and Luna Park. There is even another Luna Park at Coney Island today. And people still love to go there and have fun. This is a picture of the new Luna Park on Coney Island. Whew, I'm glad they were able to build more parks and that everybody was safe in that fire. Let's read some questions about this story to see if we can connect some events and idea in time order or an event that causes the other. Why was Coney Island popular more than 100 years ago? A. It was an old place. B. It was part of a city. C. It had amusement parks. That's right, C. It had amusement parks. I bet you remember. I love amusement parks too. Question number 2. What was the new park called? Complete the sentence. The name of the new park was A. Dreamland. B. Reynolds. C. Luna Park. That's right, Dreamland. Because Reynolds was the man that built it, and Luna Park was the old park. The new one was Dreamland. Question number 3. How did Reynolds make the rides at Dreamland different from the rides at Luna Park? A. Reynolds made his rides bigger. C. Reynolds made his rides wetter. C. Reynolds made his rides slower. That's right, A. He made his rides bigger and the tower taller, and he wanted to be a little bit better or maybe much better than Luna Park. Question number 4. What happened after Dreamland opened? A. Tickets cost $50 at Dreamland. B. People loved Luna Park more than Dreamland. C. Crowds of people went to Dreamland. Don't get tricked. It was only 15 cents, not $50, so definitely A is not it. And people started to like more Dreamland than Luna Park, so B is not it. So C says crowds of people went to Dreamland, and that's the correct answer. Good job, guys. Question number 5. What was the cause of the fire at Dreamland? And you have 3 pictures. Picture A shows tar. Picture B shows a candle. And picture C shows a screw. That's right, a tar. A hot tar probably caused the fire in Dreamland. Question number 6. Why did Dreamland burn so quickly? A. It was too hard for firefighters to reach. B. It had rides in buildings made of wood. C. It had a big tower that collapsed. It burned quickly because the rides and buildings were made out of wood. One thing caused the other. The tower caused the fire, and the wood made the fire go super and spread super fast. We can see here the connections. Question number 7. Think about what happened at Coney Island over the years. What is happening today? A. People visit Dreamland on Coney Island now. B. Coney Island is still a fun and popular place. C. There are no amusement parks on Coney Island. That's right, B. In this story, it says that Coney Island still is a very fun and popular place today. So we can see the stories have events and ideas that we're able to connect and understand better the picture in our brains. Good job, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you the next time.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hi, it's Miss Howenstein, and today I'm here reading you a story called The Word Collector. And this author, Peter H. Reynolds, he's from the author of Happy Dreamer and the Dot and Say Something. We just read a book about Say Something, and so if you listen to that one, this is the same author. So we're going to go ahead and get started. You see that there's lots of words all over the book, so it's called The Word Collector. So think, what do you think the word collector means? All right. Collectors collect things. Some people collect stamps. Some people collect coins. Others collect rocks. Some collect art. Some collect bugs. Others collect baseball cards. Some people collect comic books. And Jerome, what did he collect? Jerome collected words, says Wonder. He collected words he heard. My trip to Peru was perfectly pleasant. This is someone telling him about his trip to Peru, a country. Certain words caught his attention. He collected words he saw. Certain words jumped out at him. This says Willow Tea Shop, and he liked the word willow. He thought it was interesting. He collected words he read. Certain words popped off the page. So if you're reading a book and sometimes you think, wow, that was a big word, or something that really caught your eye, this word emerald in the book Wizard of Oz popped off the page for him. Short and sweet words: spark, bloom, drift, dream. 2-syllable treats: treasure, motif, whisper, candid, hover, glimmer. Such big words. And multi-syllable words that sounded like little songs: geometry, guacamole, kaleidoscope, wonderful, symphony. There were words he did not know the meaning of first, but they were marvelous to say. Aromatic, vociferous, effervescent. There were words whose sounds were perfectly suited to their meaning. Molasses, sometimes this is used in some cookies. Tyrannosaurus rex, a T-Rex. Many of you are familiar with a Tyrannosaurus rex. You call it T-Rex. Bellow, like a lion. Smudge, when you mess up and you smudge the paint or the writing. Jerome filled his scrapbooks with more and more of his favorite words. He made books full of words. Jerome's collections grew. He began organizing them: dreamy, science, sad, action, poetic. One day, while transporting them, what do you think might happen with his words? He was transporting all his books in his scrapbooks. Let's see. Jerome slipped and his words went flying. Oh no, they're all over. As he began to pick them up, he noticed his collections had become jumbled. Big words next to little words, sad words next to dreamy words. Jerome began stringing words together. Words he had not imagined being side by side. He used his words to write poems. He used his poems to make songs. They moved, they delighted. Some of his simplest words were his most powerful. I understand. So when someone's hurt and they're telling you how they feel and you tell them you understand, that is so important. Or using the words, I'm sorry, when you do something wrong or hurt someone's feelings. Thank you. Thank you is so powerful. When someone does something nice for you, you matter. Telling someone that they are important, that can go a long way. Jerome eagerly collected more and more of his favorite words. He was so excited to collect more words. The more words he knew, the more clearly he could share with the world what he was thinking, feeling, and dreaming. One breezy afternoon, Jerome climbed the highest hill, pulling a wagon packed with his word collection. Here's the wagon, and all his words are in the bag. He smiled as he emptied his collection of words into the wind. So he let them all go off the hill. He saw children in the valley below, scurrying about collecting words from the breeze. They were so excited to collect these words. Jerome had no words to describe how happy that made him. This is another quote by Peter Hamilton Reynolds. Reach for your own words. Tell the world who you are and how you will make it better. So friends, when we use many different words and we find words that are so powerful or words that make us think like, what does that mean? This is a way that you can do this at home. You can collect your own words that you find in the newspaper, in books, on TV, and you can start to see what they mean and use those words in different ways. So make sure if you are wanting to collect some words, you can write them down. You can get a jar and cut out some words and put them in there and save them, and this will be your collection. Thank you so much for reading along today, and I can't wait to hear about the words that you collect.
Look around. Listen. We're moving to a new beat. A colorful symphony, each note made more beautiful by the next. We are driven by talent in the classroom, in each school that recognizes the potential in every student and knows the opportunity to achieve is not an option, it's expected. We are not alone. We stand among giants, eager to help, eager to give back and build bonds to last generations. We are part of a city fueled by grit, strength, and determination. Racing toward a future full of potential where hard work really does pay off. When one succeeds, we all succeed. We're innovative, we're industrious, we're imaginative. We are your Indianapolis Public Schools, and we're stronger together.
You're watching MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23, a free educational service provided by Circle City Broadcasting of Indianapolis. Here's what's coming up this hour. Get more information, special announcements, and weekly program schedules online at wishtv.com. And be sure to follow us on Facebook. Here's what's coming up next.
Hello, my name is Mr. Newman, and I'm here today to help you with the home learning packet in visual arts. Today, we're going to cover a lesson for grades kindergarten and first grade. Now, this lesson can also be done with any grade level according to your expertise, but for today, we will be doing the instruction for kindergarten through first grade. And this is in your home learning packet. The title of the lesson is Art with a Heart, and the objective is to draw or use a heart-shaped template to trace or draw hearts on paper. Please use different sizes. Color in using colored pencil, crayon, or marker. Be creative with the color and your heart size. Use variety in creating your work. All right, the materials you will need today: large piece of white paper, markers or crayons or colored pencil, or all three, and traceable hearts of different sizes. These would be the standards that we are addressing when we do this lesson. Art standards under creating. So, the first thing we want to do is we want to try and find some shaped hearts. Now, if you don't have these materials right now, it's okay, don't worry. Just follow along and then you can do them later. So I went to my closet and found some hearts that were on heart bags, or I also went to the store and found some traceable heart shapes. Now, you can do it freehand if you wish, but it's always good to have a good template. So here's an art bag that I had at home. This is great because the cardboard's right there, and all you have to do is put it on your paper and trace some hearts. Also, there were some bags of different sizes. Good for variety. You don't want to have, on your artwork, you don't want to have all the sizes the same. So I just cut out hearts of different sizes, big, small. I also have this tin that's shaped in a heart, which is also a nice sturdy template. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to trace a few hearts. So you want to put this on your paper, take a sharp pencil, trace all around the outside, and you have a heart shape. I'll do another one. And while I'm talking about this, please keep in mind that these home learning plans were designed for students and adults and the people in the household to do along together. So if parents can help the younger ones, or older kids in the family can help the younger ones do this tracing exercise, that would be most beneficial. So here's another heart, different sizes. Now you can do it any way you wish. You can overlap them. You can put them upside down, however you wish. It's your artwork. Please be creative in your artwork. So, once we've traced a few hearts, I'm going to put this up. I did several so that you could see that I've been overlapping using different sizes for variety. We're going to put this up on the board as number one. All right. Then the second thing you should do is take a colored marker or a crayon and trace around the outside. Please again use variety in your colors. Use a marker or a crayon. I think I used crayon here because I haven't used crayon in a while and I thought it was a great fun to do. So you can trace the outline so that you'll be able to do the next step and make it creative and make it neat. All right, here's number 2. So first we have tracing around the piece of paper. We've used variety. We're tracing our outline with different colors, again, for variety and creativity. Now, the third step would be the fun part. It's all up to you. Here's one I did with marker. You notice not all the hearts are red. You notice not all the hearts are colored in. Let's put this one up here and show you a finished product of art with the heart. I also used different colors within the heart. I went out and I found some stickers at Meijer or any store that would have arts and crafts available, and you can do that too, just to jazz it up a little bit. So I have my stickers, I have lines, I have boxes, different things you can do. Now the markers are really nice, but since I hadn't used crayons in a long time, I wanted to do one with crayons too. So here's a finished product using crayons. You know, I did pastel colors. I kind of used my model of the one that I had cut out. Here's a finished product using crayon. Now remember, in summary, this was Art with a Heart. It's in your home learning packet. It's under the Fine Arts section. And also, I believe the phys ed is there. So this would have music and visual art involved. This is for K through 1, but again, any grade level can do this. The older you are, the more creative you can get. Try to use regular household items and not any paint for this exercise, since we were gearing this towards kindergarten and first grade. In summary, we drew hearts of different shapes. We used tracing, and again, you can do freehand if you wish to draw the heart freehand. This was our objective. These are the materials you need for this exercise. And here's our standards. We want to thank you for your attention today, and we will see you soon. Thank you.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hello, my name is Mr. Newman, and today we're going to be doing a visual art lesson from the Home Learning Plan for Indianapolis Public Schools. Today we're going to cover an art lesson for grades 2 and 3. Now this art lesson can also be adapted for older children, older students, but today I will be running through grades 2 and 3. This can be found in your Home Learning Plan under the Fine Arts section of your home learning plan. And again, there is no specific number. It's just the title that you would want to look for today would be Make Your Own Picasso. All right? So this is the one that we'll be going through today. Now, if you don't have any of the materials I'm going to show you right now, that's okay. Don't worry. You can gather those later after you've seen this instruction, and then go about the business of making your own Picasso. So, let's begin. Here we are, Make Your Own Picasso. Our objective today is to research artist Pablo Picasso and view his art, particularly his art of faces. In case you're wondering, this is Pablo Picasso right here. Then, we're going to cut out from magazines or other printed materials face parts. We're going to cut out eyes, noses, ears, hands, and then use a glue stick to put them on a large piece of paper and place them around a circle or other geometric shape. Be creative with your artwork and use the examples that I'm going to show you of Picasso's work kind of as your guide and model. All right. So the first thing we want to do is talk about Mr. Picasso. Who is Pablo Picasso? I'll give you a little background. Picasso was a Spanish painter, sculptor, printmaker, ceramicist, and stage designer, considered one of the most important artists of the 20th century. That was the last century. Picasso is credited with the creation of the art form known as Cubism. Cubism is an artistic movement which uses geometric shapes in depictions of human shapes and other forms. This creates a visual distortion of the shape or the subject being painted. And you notice in my explanation, I put in an example of Cubism, inadvertently, spelling art wrong, but this is what we're going to be showing you. So, here's an example of Pablo Picasso's artwork, right? And we're going to put these up on the board so that you can use them as you do your own Picasso. You notice how the features are distorted, how they're off-center, how they're not always lined up like a normal human figure. Here are 3 more examples that I want to show you, just to give you an idea of what you will be trying to model. Again, you notice this one, eye in the middle, distorted, but you can still tell that it's a human form. All right, so now you're going to have fun creating your own Picasso. The materials that you'll need for this lesson: large piece of white paper, or really any construction paper that's not incredibly dark so that you can see what you're doing. Pair of scissors, glue stick, old magazines and other printed material, and I want to stress old magazines because when you're done with these magazines, they're not going to be readable, all right, because you're going to do a lot of cutting. So make sure it's not something that somebody wants to save. And using markers or other materials like crayons, all right? Here's the standards we're addressing in creating, generating artistic ideas and work, and organizing and developing artistic ideas, okay? So the first thing you want to do is you want to find some old magazines. I happen to have one right here. You can see the cover is already cut out because I found a lot of interesting facial features throughout this magazine. So you'll want to use that, use whatever you have on hand, or go to the store and grab one, and then start cutting out shapes and facial parts. So the bigger the better, all right? So here's some hair, all right? Noses, eyes with noses, sure. And do a lot of variety. Don't always keep the whole face because you're going to be interchanging the parts. You can cut out hands, feet, whatever you wish. Also, later on, I'll show you an example of things that I cut out that have nothing to do with the human face, but it still makes for interesting cubism, all right? So the first thing you want to do is you want to get all of your shapes, different shapes and sizes, cut out. Then, on a large piece of paper, you want to draw a large circle with a marker, or a large rectangle with a marker. Rectangle would be the facial feature. There's also other shapes you can use. In some of Picasso's work, you'll notice that this happens to be the print, but the face is not like that. The figure is a little more like this. Or you can do it like this. Or you can do it as a big circle for the head, all right? So the first thing you want to do is make sure you have that to start. Then you can go about the business of taking your glue stick and gluing the different facial parts that you've cut out of the magazines onto your construction paper. Now, when you're using the glue stick, please do not use the dining room table or something valuable underneath. Make sure you put out a drop cloth, you put out a piece of paper underneath the glue stick so that you can go ahead and get a little messy with it, but it doesn't mess up your furniture, okay? Yes, we're not in the art room with our art tables today. So, what I've done is I have 3 examples that I'd like to show you. And the first one, after I got done cutting out shapes, creating my own Picasso, would be this one, using the rectangle as the face. And you notice that I didn't completely cover up the rectangle, so I still get the facial features and the outlines. You see, I have my figure here with some other things. Be very creative. You can get very creative. Here's some hair way up in the corner, but turns into a face. You can just do whatever you wish. This is, you can make it look like this, but it's your own creativity, it's your own artwork. So here's one I wanted to show you with the rectangle. Then here's one that we did with the circle for the face, all right? So you can use other color if you want to. And lastly, we'll put this one here. Lastly, I noticed when I was looking at the example that there was a lot of geometric shapes and colors in the artwork. So what I did was, before I glued anything on, I cut out other geometric shapes, triangles, strips, squares, and put them on a piece of paper with different colors, and then glued it on. So here's one with that kind of background, all right? So, remember, your artwork is your creation. It doesn't have to look like mine at all. The main thing is to be creative and have fun. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hello, my name is Mr. Newman, and today we're going to cover a visual art lesson for grades 6 through 8. This art lesson can be found in the IPS Home Learning Plan under the Fine Arts tab. Now, today's lesson is entitled Alternative Paint. No paint, no problem. Just try using other materials to create your own paint. Coffee grounds, fruit juice, food coloring, crushed berries, other materials. I've got several materials here today that we're going to go through, and then I'll give you pointers on how to use those to create your own paint at home. Remember, these are lessons designed for the whole family to participate in, so especially this one. It's designed for the older grades because this one could get quite messy, so I want to say ahead of time, please be careful, please have coverings down on your art space, and be careful with your materials. So, you're going to be painting a picture using alternative materials. If you don't have a brush, you can use a cotton swab, a Q-tip, or a cotton ball. Brushes work great, little artist brushes. Q-tips have been working great in my trials. Cotton ball, not so much. Tissues, not at all. Just to give you an idea. Materials needed, you'll need several small Dixie cups to put your alternative paint in, or small containers like margarine containers, that sort of thing. Paint brushes, cotton swabs, tissue, cotton balls, small spoon to crush things if you so desire to crush up for fruit juice, and various liquids. The ones we will be using today are the ones that I found that have the least amount of trouble attached to them. Although the food coloring, you have to be very careful with the food coloring. but the food coloring by far makes the best alternative paint that I could find. So we're going to be using food coloring, fruit juice, in this case pomegranate juice. We're going to be using nail polish, calamine lotion, and several shades of shoe polish for this experiment. So if you don't have these materials right now, that's fine. I'm going to take you and guide you through the lesson, and then you can gather those things when you decide to do the lesson. Remember, your artwork is your own creation. It doesn't have to look like I've done. You don't even have to use the materials that I've used. Please, the main thing is to have fun and be creative. All right, so these are standards addressing today's lesson. So let's dive right in. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to get a piece of paper, and you're going to want to take a magic marker, the only thing you're going to use that's not alternative, and draw a design that you want to paint. Now, for this exercise, I just used a scribble drawing. So I did wavy lines, so that I'd be able to use the materials that I have on hand to fill in the shadings. All right? So the first thing I want to show you is that I have several small Dixie cups here filled with various liquids. We have food coloring. You can get this at any grocery store. Usually have 4 or 5 colors. You have to be very, very careful with this because it will get on you like that. So you should be wearing gloves. You should have it covering down over your area, and you should also have an art smock, if you can, or an apron that you can use. So I'm going to take this. I'm not going to do the whole drawing. I have a finished product, but I'm going to show you what you should be doing step by step. So take a little bit on the paintbrush, and then you're going to color in using the food coloring. All right? I'll use different color here. Also, I have these cotton swabs, these Q-tips, and they make a great paintbrush if you don't have them. All right? Excellent. It's a wide swath, and it covers really well. The food coloring covers really well. All right? A couple of more colors for you. I did that last night and got it all over my hand. Try to stay within lines or not. I'm doing that today for my purposes. Again, you be as creative as you want. One more color of the food coloring. It's by far the best alternative paint that I found. Now here's one very interesting. You might find this in your medicine cabinet. Calamine lotion, things you put on scrapes or mosquito bites. Now, it's that pink stuff. So you put a little bit on the swab. Now, it doesn't show you a lot of color right as you put it on, but as it dries, it gives you more of that uniform color. And by the way, these liquids that I'm using today, I experimented with first to make sure I would get some clean lines and clean color. Initially I used blackberries and crushed them up, but you tend to get a lot of blackberry pulp or fruit pulp when you're doing that, and so then when you try to paint, it gets on the paper. Also, coffee grounds, I would not recommend coffee grounds. I put them up here because you can try that, but the coffee grounds are a little messy. So I wanted to use materials for this purpose that were clean and offered clean lines for you. Here's a very unusual one for you. Using pomegranate juice. You can use grape juice, cherry juice, anything that's a darker color, because the orange juice and the lighter colors won't come through. So again, it doesn't show up very well initially, but when you dry it, it has this nice raspberry pomegranate color. All right, so you can use fruit juice, food coloring, calamine lotion. Here's one, very popular. Now, don't use anybody's really good nail polish, but if there's some that your sister or your mother don't want to use anymore, this makes a very good alternative paint. And it's got its own brush. It's great. So a little bit of that. That one you don't have to use a Q-tip or anything. Covers really well. It's a nice dark color. You can use glitter in your, whatever you have. Your nail polish that has the glitter in it, whatever you want to do. All right. One more, try one more. This old, you might have this in the back of your closet in the bathroom. This is an old shoe shine. This is brown, and you want to shake it up. You can still get this, but not at this price. And it has its own applicator. So all you have to do is push on the paper up and down really quick, like this, and then you can spread it out. Covers really well. You can get to the lines, close to the lines, and then you can take your paintbrush or your Q-tip to get closer, okay? So, shoe polish works really well too. All right, I think I've used everything that I have available. You may be able to come up with some others. The main thing is be creative. It's artwork and it's your artwork. I have a finished product here for you to view that I did. Again, I did a scribble drawing with the marker, and I used the pomegranate juice, the calamine lotion, the food coloring, and the nail polish and shoe shine, and there you go. This is the finished product. So I'll put up here on the board. Again, as we wrap up, in summary, I want to stress, please be creative, have fun, and please be careful, because some of these materials can get on other materials and stain them, especially the food coloring. That is a dye. So please be very careful. Put down something that you want to use, cover up your clothing, and have a good time. Thanks, and we hope to see you soon. Bye.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hi everybody, it's Miss Goldberg. I'm one of the district secondary coaches. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be in section 2 of your packet, and we're going to be doing lesson 3 and 4, okay? So you are going to turn to page 34 in your packet. It looks like this. And it says comparing and contrasting genres. So that is our objective today. We are going to take a look at the difference between genres of texts. So with a focus on historical fiction and historical accounts, okay? They sound similar, but they are different, and we're going to talk about that today. So when we are done here today, hopefully we will know the difference between historical fiction and an historical account. So why don't you follow along with me on the top of page 34. It says, have you ever seen a movie about an important part of history, such as the Civil Rights Movement, that included fictional characters? So think about that. Think about movies that you've seen that are fiction, but they contain historical events. This kind of movie is a work of historical fiction, or a story set in the past that combines made-up characters and events with historical figures and real events from a specific time and place. Okay, so that word fiction should tell you that it is made up. Okay, so the story is made up. But the historical piece of it is that they are drawing on details and facts from the past, but then they're fictionalizing it. They're making it into their own story by adding characters, dialogue, plot. But then let's take a look. An historical account, on the other hand, is a factual explanation, description, or narrative from or about the past. All the people actually lived, the places existed, and the events in a historical account really occurred. So let's think about like our memoirs, our biographies, and all of that, our history books that you read, science books that you read. Those are actually nonfiction, and so a historical account is actually nonfiction, whereas historical fiction is fiction. And we know fiction is made up, we know nonfiction is real, okay? So keep that in mind while we go through this. So it says, study the illustration below, which details are based on reality and which are fictional. Now, if you're having a hard time with this, you see a gentleman and you see a woman, and she says, I'm going to remember this moment forever. Does the gentleman look like anyone you know from history? So it says, the image above shows a real person, Martin Luther King, standing next to a fictional character, a young woman who admires him. In a similar way, historical fiction includes real people and events, and then it alters some historical details to tell a made-up story. And we know alter means to change. So in historical fiction, the writers have they change things a little bit to make it a more interesting story or just to make it fiction. So let's study the chart to consider how the author of historical fiction draws upon real facts to create a work of fiction. Okay, so we've got one side that says how historical fiction uses history, and then how historical fiction alters history. So let's see the difference here. So in historical fiction, it's typically set in a real time and place setting, provides factual information like dates and whatnot from history, includes events that actually occurred, and uses historical figures, which is a person, language, and details, such as famous people or typical customs of the time. So you will see that in historical fiction, but let's look at the other side, how historical fiction alters history, all right? So in historical fiction, just like in any other fictional story you read, there is a plot, right? Remember the plot diagram we all know and love, where we have the introduction, the climbing action, the climax, the resolution, and then the denouement, as we call it. So remember, that's what historical fiction follows. It has a plot. It also will contain made up, yet realistic characters who actually interact with the historical characters. Most of the dialogue is invented, and we're going to see some examples of that in a little bit. And you may interpret or change historical details to create a better story. So sometimes it might be set in history, but they like to really kind of exacerbate, or they like to make it more exciting than maybe it actually really was, just because it's a work of fiction and they want to keep your attention and want you to keep reading it. All right, make sense? Okay, so it says, good readers understand that historical accounts use facts and information to inform readers. There's our purpose. So when we are reading something that is a historical account, it's to inform us, all right? While historical fiction is meant to entertain readers. So that's the purpose for historical fiction. It's to entertain us with an engaging story that combines real and imagined characters and events from the past. as they read, remember, because you are a good readers are aware of these differences and are careful to separate fact from fiction. So we're going to get a chance to practice this on the next page. So we're going to turn the page. We're going to take a look at a historical account, and then on page 36, we're going to take a look at historical fiction, okay? So let's turn the page, everybody. So here we go. We're still in lesson 3, okay? So this is what I want you to do. I want you to read the historical account about Lewis and Clark expedition. All right, it's called Journey to the Pacific, and it's by Rita Hay. I'm going to read the first paragraph to you, all right, so follow along. I want you to really, really pay attention to what the facts are, all right? In 1804, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark led the first U.S. expedition to the Pacific coast of North America. They were sent by President Thomas Jefferson to chart a route through the unexplored regions of the country. The team of explorers recorded the wide variety of plants, animals, and geography they saw in the wilderness. The expedition journeyed along rivers, over mountains, and through valleys for over a year, encountering hostile tribes, meaning, you know, people who didn't really want them to be there, hostile people, inclement weather, and challenging terrain, meaning very difficult terrain. Terrain is land, okay? So think about it. Mountains, it would be very hard to climb mountains, etc. That's terrain. On November 7th, 1805, the Corps of Discovery thought they had finally found the Pacific Ocean, but they were mistaken. The wide expanse of open water turned out to be the estuary, or mouth, of the Columbia River, where the river begins. With the help of native guides and determined companions, however, the team finally succeeded. The expedition reached the Pacific Ocean on November 15th, 1805. A long, hard winter and return journey lay before them, but the first half of their mission had been accomplished. Now remember, that's a historical account, so we know that this is factual information that we are reading. This is not to entertain, it's to inform. Explore how to answer this question. What characteristics of a historical account are present in this passage? Well, this historical account of Lewis and Clark's expedition includes many details about their journey, and they're also giving us exact dates too. Underline examples of facts, people, and places that present historical information. So I underlined in 1804 because that's what it's telling us. It's telling us this happened in the year 1804. We know who it happened to, right? Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. We typically refer to them as Lewis and Clark. What did they do? They led an expedition to out west to chart a course, okay? And what else? We also know on November 7th, they thought they had found the Pacific Ocean, but it was really the mouth of the Columbia River. But then we also know that in 1805, about a year after they started, they reached the Pacific Ocean. So we have all of those as historical facts. We've got dates, we've got people, we've got the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, right? Okay, so what I want us to do is fill in the first column of the chart below with facts from the actual account that we just read. And as you can tell up here, I've already started this for us. And you're going to do it for the next passage that we read. And you can tell it's going to be fiction. So, some of the historical facts, we've already talked about them. 1804, Lewis and Clark set out on their first U.S. expedition. Add that to your chart, please. Thomas Jefferson sent them to chart a route out west. Add that to your chart. Thomas Jefferson, we know he was the President of the United States at the time. Then on November 7th, 1805, they discovered the mouth of the Columbia River. Add that to your chart. That is history, that is accurate. We can even go in and research this detail. And then on November 15th, 1805, they actually reached the Pacific Ocean. All right, so these are some of our historical facts that we learned from Journey to the Pacific. All right, this part we are going to come back to after the next page. All right, ready? You're going to turn with me to page 36. Okay, so there's things we need to do before we read, and this is called close reading, right? You talk about close reading in your classrooms, and I'm going to remind you, it's looking for specific information as we're reading. We're reading really up close. So what I want you to do is, in this fictional story called Sighting the Pacific, this is historical fiction, I want you to underline facts that are the same or similar to Journey to the Pacific, all right? So I want you to look into this account and underline things that seem familiar from the last passage that we read. And then we're going to do two things. We're going to star any story elements that are clearly fictional, made up, added to make it historical fiction. All right? And then we're going to come back to this chart when we're done. Okay. I'm going to read this quickly to you, so follow along. Here we go. Get ready to underline our facts that are similar to the story we just read. Not story, but the account that we just read. And star any elements that you know are fiction. Okay. Here we go. As the weary explorers reached the top of the hill, Mr. Lewis let out a cry of delight. "We've made it," he exclaimed, "the Pacific." So I'm going to do a little bit of thinking aloud for you. So I see this name, Mr. Lewis. That was also the name of our explorer in the previous story. So we know we can underline that because we're talking about Meriwether Lewis. All right? So we're going to do that. Is there anything in that paragraph that lets us know that it's fiction? So I'm thinking I starred right next to where it says, "We've made it," he exclaimed, "the Pacific." We don't know if that's what he actually said, but the writer of this passage has added that to add to the fictional story that they're writing about the same event. All right, here we go. The men exchanged doubtful glances. Just last week, Mr. Clark had rejoiced along with the entire team, confident that the large body of water before them was the ocean. Later, they discovered that the water was just the estuary, remember the mouth, of the Columbia River. Yet, they smelled ocean air. Peter had tried to stay positive as they continued their search, but it was extremely difficult. Would today, November 15th, actually be the day they reached the Pacific Ocean? Okay, I want you to take a few seconds and I want you to go in and star and underline. We're starring things that make it fictional, like this dude Peter. We don't know if Peter was really with them on their journey. And I want you to underline things that sound familiar from the last passage. Okay, moving on, last paragraph. "That certainly is a sight for sore eyes," one of the men exclaimed, and Peter looked up and grinned. After a year and a half of traveling, they had in fact come upon the salt waters of the Pacific. So we see what the historical account is and then the fiction, the historical fiction. So I want you to take a look. We're going to answer this question before we go back to our chart. Or actually, no. Let's reverse that. Let's go back to our chart. So, what are some fictional details? What are something that you noticed that made this Sighting the Pacific a fictional, historical fiction? So, how about it says, Mr. Lewis let out a cry of delight. This is a piece of the plot that we don't know if this really happened. We know that the author added it into the historical fiction to make it more interesting, okay? So we can add that. We also know that they've added this Peter is a character. All right? We're kind of learning that whole paragraph was from Peter's point of view. And then we know that they added dialogue in many places. So why don't you go in and copy at least one piece of dialogue that they added to the historical fiction account. All right? I put down that certainly is a sight for sore eyes. So that's how we know that it's historical fiction. We know that they're adding characters, we know they're adding plot details, we know they're adding dialogue, and we can even put under here plot detail. They're telling a story. Okay, in the middle of page 36, it says, circle the best answer. Which fact presented in Journey to the Pacific is also included in the fictional story above? A, Peter played a key role as a member of Lewis and Clark's team. B, some of the explorers felt that the ocean was a sight for sore eyes. C, Peter tried to keep up his spirits during the expedition. Or D, the explorers had mistaken the estuary for the Pacific Ocean. Now, which is a fact that was also in Journey to the Pacific that we saw in Sighting the Pacific? If you circled D, you are correct. If you didn't circle D, that's okay. Go back and circle it for us. All right. Down at the bottom it says, show your thinking. Describe how the author of Sighting the Pacific used an altered historical detail about the Lewis and Clark expedition to tell a story. I want you to answer that on your own. When you are done, we are going to move on to our next lesson, all right? We are going to move on to our lesson, so page 36 was lesson 4. We just did them both together. We just got it all done, guys. So we're gonna move on to lesson 5. So take a few minutes, finish this up, and I'll see you soon.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hi again, it's Miss Goldberg. So we are going to pick up where we left off. We are going to move on to lesson 5, everybody, which is pages 37, 38, and 39. So you'll see that we are going to read this historical account, Orphan Train Riders. So if you remember back to lessons 3 and 4, we talked about the difference between historical fiction and we talked about a historical account. So I want you to go back to your notes so that you can, from lessons 3 and 4, to kind of get the wheels a-turning. So we know that historical account is nonfiction. It's true. It's to inform us, all right? You normally see dates, historical people, historical events, and we're learning about them. In historical fiction, we know fiction tells us right there that it's a made-up story, okay? It has a plot. So we know that in historical fiction, authors will use people from history, dates from history, events from history, but then they add their own details. They add plot, they add dialogue, they add characters to make it a story, okay? Some pieces may be true, but some may be, you know, the truth might be stretched a little bit. So today we're going to continue with that genre study between historical accounts and historical fiction. So we're going to read 2 things today. On page 37, we're going to read about Orphan Train Riders by Elliot Elmore. It's a historical account. So what does that tell us? You're right. It tells us this is actually nonfiction, and we're going to learn about the orphan train riders. Then if you look on page 38, we are going to read some historical fiction. It's right up here. See where it says genre, historical fiction. And it says The Train to Somewhere. I wonder if it has anything to do with the orphan train riders, but it's fictionalized and it's historical fiction. So let's figure this out together. Go back to page 37, Orphan Train Riders, and I'm going to do a little bit of reading for you, and then you're going to finish it on your own. But before we begin, see where it says close reading? So what does that mean? That means we're going to read this closely. And it tells us the first thing that we're going to do, we need to circle at least 3 details that help identify this passage as historical account. So remember, peeps, we are looking for dates, we are looking for historical people, we're looking for information that happened during the orphan train rides, to tell us who, what, when, where, why, and how, okay? And that's going to help us with number 2. So it says, underline the most important facts the author presents about the orphan train movement. Look for details that answer, guess what? Who, what, when, where, why, and how. So that's going to tell us what we need to know. Okay, so here we go. Follow along. I'm going to start it for us, and then you're going to finish it. By the mid-1800s, the New York City streets were filled with an estimated 30,000 poor and hungry children. Many were homeless or abandoned. They sold newspapers, rags, or matches in order to earn money and lived on the streets in all kinds of weather. Often forming gangs in order to protect themselves, the children led hard lives, but it was the only life they knew. So can we underline any important facts? Do we know who? Do we know what? Do we know when? Well, so we know it says the mid-1800s, right? So that's going to tell us our when. So we want to really underline that. And then who are we talking about? We are talking about these poor and hungry children, these 30,000 poor and hungry children. All right, where? We know New York City, so we're going to underline that. So already in that first paragraph, we have so much information. All right, paragraph number 2. In 1853, Charles Loring Brace, a young minister, took it upon himself to help these children. When a child stands in front of you in rags with a tear-stained face, he said, you cannot easily forget him. Brace founded the Children's Aid Society, an organization devoted to moving children from the streets of New York City to new homes in rural areas across the country. So rural meaning the country, okay? We're urban, we live in the city. Rural means smaller towns, etc. All right, so in that, are there any more who, what, when, where, why, and how? Well, we're introduced to Charles Loring Brace, right, in 1853. So he's another who that helps to impact this historical account. So we're going to learn about what he is doing for these orphans. We know that he founded the Children's Aid Society, and that was to help get these children off the streets and into rural areas. All right, so we know kind of why he did it, right? To get them off the streets and into new homes. He wanted to get them into homes. All right, last paragraph I'm going to read with you. Later referred to as the orphan train movement, the first step in the process was to load needy children onto what became known as orphan trains. The children were then transported to 47 states and Canada. Brace believed that loving families in rural areas would adopt these children. He hoped they would grow up with the education and support needed to become productive members of society. So, I want you to read the last 2 paragraphs, and I want you to really think about what are those 3 details that you're going to circle, and what are you're going to underline as important facts that answer the who, what, when, where, why, and how. All right? So you're going to take a few minutes and you're going to do that, and then I want you to meet me on page 38. Okay, so we just read a historical account of what the orphan train rides were. And now we're going to read this Train to Somewhere, which is historical fiction. So we know, just by hearing the word fiction, that this is going to take some of those facts that we probably just learned in the other story, but it's going to be a made-up story. So we're going to see characters, we're going to see dialogue. Again, over there on your left, you're going to see close reading. So I want you to underline any facts that you read about in the Train to Somewhere that you learned about in the Orphan Train Riders, okay? And then I want you to think about which details come from the author's imagination. So what are made up? What is to help make this the plot? What to make this fiction? Draw a box around 3 story elements that show it's a work of fiction. All right, there's more than 3, but they're just saying you have to underline 3. So challenge yourself and underline more. All right, again, I'm going to get us started, and then you're going to take over. So here we go. My heart was in my throat as Robbie and I boarded the train in New York City that April day. A member of the Children's Aid Society led us to our seats and advised us, be sure to smile and make a good impression on the people you meet. At age 5, I thought myself lucky. At least I had my older brother at my side. I still could remember Mama humming as she cooked dinner and my father's smiling face, but they had both died. For months we had lived on the streets until the Children's Aid Society sheltered us. Now they were shipping us on an orphan train to a new home and a new life. So you know what I'm thinking? We can already underline some facts there. So let's go ahead and do this together. So we know New York City is where these children came from. So we're going to go ahead and underline that fact that this is set in New York City, just like the orphan train when we learned about over here. We also know that the Children's Aid Society was developed to help these children. So we can go ahead and underline that. All right, so is there anything that we can circle because this is a fictionalized version, it's historical fiction. So how do we know that this is fiction? So I circled some of the dialogue, right? And I also, Robbie and I. So our narrator and her brother, we've learned, those are characters. So I went ahead and I circled them. And then where it says in paragraph 1, be sure to smile and make a good impression on the people you meet, we don't know if people really said that. We know that's dialogue, right? That another character is saying to these children to make it a more interesting story. All right, and then if we go down to paragraph 2, basically most of that paragraph is the made up pieces because we learn about some of the backstory of these children. Their mom, and she can see her mom and dad and their smiling faces, and we learn that they both died. But we can underline shipping us on an orphan train to a new home and a new life because that's what they were trying to do. Okay, I'm going to read paragraphs 3 and 4 with you, and then you're going to read the rest on your own. As the train gathers speed, I caught one last glimpse of the city, the only home I'd ever known. The next few days blurred together as our train powered over rivers, lush farmlands, and empty prairies. Where were we going, and what would happen to us? Our destination and future were unclear and unknown. Then one morning we pulled into a small station as our society escorts did their best to smooth our hair and straighten our clothes. Weary and confused, we were led to a large hall and seated on a stage in front of a crowd of strangers. Many stared, but some walked up to inspect us. Suddenly I was staggered by a terrible thought. What if Robbie and I went to different homes in different towns and were separated permanently? Okay, so think back, paragraphs 3 and 4. I want you to underline any facts, and then you're going to be able to draw boxes around a lot because a lot of this part of the story is fictionalized. Once you're done with that, I want you to read paragraphs 5, 6, and 7 on your own and continue your close reading strategy.
You've been watching MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23, a free educational service provided by Circle City Broadcasting of Indianapolis. MyIPS airs weekday mornings from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. For more information, special announcements, and the weekly program schedule, go to wishtv.com. You can also follow us on Facebook.